Hello, I am Florencia Cuxia, and the short story I have chosen from The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Doyle is A Red-Headed League, and I will be relating this story with an episode of a TV series called Sherlock Holmes. These series were released in 1954. And the show was the first American adaptation of the stories. It had only one season with 39 episodes, and the episode for A Red-Headed League was the 11th, released on the 27th of December of 1954. It was directed by Steve Previn, Sheldon Reynolds and Jack Gage, and Sheldon Reynolds was also the producer. The name of the episode is the same as the short story. They are both titled The Red-Headed League. For the TV series, the producer and director Sheldon Reynolds, wanted to show an image of Sherlock that also appears in the novel A Study in Scarlet, that is also a novel from Conan Doyle, in which Sherlock and Watson first appear. The Sherlock that we can see in this novel is a Sherlock who dedicates a lot of time to his cases. So we have Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson on the left, and on the right we have Mr. Wilson. To understand a little bit about the story, the short story A Red-Headed League, it is important that we know that Mr. Wilson wants Sherlock and Dr. Watson to help him after he had suddenly lost his job in a very strange way. To begin with, we can say that some of the similarities that the short story and the episode have are that some of the places mentioned in the story are portrayed in the TV series, such as these two places. Then there have been some elisions from the short story. In the scene in which Sherlock asks Mr. Wilson how Vincent Spaulding looks, that scene does not appear in the episode. And then there is another scene in which Sherlock goes to a concert, and this is not seen in the episode. This scene in which in this story the Sherlock going to a concert may represent how he uses music to help him concentrate on analyzing the case he's working on, but sadly it is not seen in the episode. Then there have been some changes of dialogues and also of characters and some scenes as well. As regards the dialogues, some dialogues were shortened in the episode, such as when Sherlock reads the column with the announcement for the Red-Headed League. In the episode, he doesn't read the whole announcement, which is this one. And also the final dialogue that Sherlock and Dr. Watson have in the short story. In the episode, it's divided and it is presented throughout some part of the episode. And then we have some other changes as regards some scenes that we can see in the written short story, beginning with the first scene in which Mr. Wilson meets Sherlock and Dr. Watson. In the episode, Mr. Wilson gives more details about his life. Then, when Spaulding tries to convince Mr. Wilson to apply for the Red-Headed League, in the episode he gives less details about the league, and he doesn't try he doesn't try that hard to convince Mr. Wilson to apply to the league. Then once Mr. Wilson enters Duncan Rowe's office, and a man named Mr. Edison is already there, and he is rejected by Duncan Rowe. This part does not appear in the story, in the written story. And after this, Duncan asks the other red-headed people that were waiting to introduce themselves to apply for the league. He asked them to leave, and he does so by opening the door of his office, while in the story he yells at them through the window. And another change in the story is that in the episode, Mr. Wilson finishes the A's for the encyclopedia at the end of eight weeks. And in the story, when 8 weeks had passed, have almost passed, he was finishing with the A's. And finally, once Sherlock and Dr. Watson are in the bank, they are also with Peter Jones and Mr. Merriweather, but in the episode they don't introduce them or talk with them, but in the story Sherlock introduces Peter Jones and Mr. Merriweather to Dr. Watson, and they also plan how they are going to act when the intruders break into the bank. There is also another important change as regards Mr. Wilson. That is that in the story he is a pawnbroker, while in the episode he's a shop owner. And finally, the most important characteristic about this story is Mr. Wilson's red hair, which is explicitly portrayed in the episode, although it was a black and white TV, while in the written short story it is just stated that Mr. Wilson has red hair. And to finish up, we can say that the differences between the short story and this specific TV episode are not many, but It is clear that the written story gives more detailed information that contributes to the story itself. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this presentation and thank you for listening.